You are listening to
the Outcast Frequency.
An hour of music, myth, and mayhem for the misfits. Hosted by yours truly,
The Master of Mischief.
Greetings folks, and welcome back to the Outcast Frequency, broadcasting on Sonic Scout Radio worldwide. Our shows go out twice a day, 7 days a week, so there's always a chance to catch up or re-listen if you miss one. And don't forget you can listen online or via the Sonic Scout Radio app, which is available for Apple and Android. Coming up on this week's show, we have an exclusive interview for you with the mastermind and creative director behind a synthwave project known as Osiris Dreams. We also have a bunch of different types of music from different kinds of artists. To start off the show, I want to introduce you to an act called Canavar Contact. We don't know much about this artist as he's very mysterious, which I love. Wears a mask, I also like that. He's from Russia, and he told me that he is a musician who mainly writes instrumental music in a mixed style, at the crossroads of electronic and metal. I've always been inspired by the aesthetics of heavy video game soundtracks, as well as electronic music from genres that aren't particularly popular nowadays. They've released quite a lot of different music, actually, which you can check out. It's up online, dating back to 2021. They have a Bandcamp, and they're also up on Spotify and the usual other main platforms. This is their latest single, and it's called Night Broadcast. That was Night Broadcast by Canavar Contact. You can find them on Instagram just under Canavar Contact. That's spelt Canavar, that way. So if you liked that, go check them out. Coming up now, we're going to dive straight into our interview with Osiris Dreams and find out a little bit more about him and his music and some of the lore and stories behind it all.
My given name is Anders. I go by the artist name Osiris Dreams, but I'm still trying a little bit to find out what Osiris Dreams is. Is it a person? Is it an idea? Is it a movement? Is it a... I'd hate to call it a brand because that's so corporate, but it's something. So I'm trying. I think I'm trying to find my way there through the actual art. So I did a concept EP earlier, and then last year, and then this year I'm doing my first full album. I think those are both concept albums with a very strong focus on a story, on an arch plot over them. So I think those two are helping me find what Osiris Dreams is actually.
It does feel like it has a bit of a story behind everything and a bit of a lore, if you will.
From the start, it was just I was kind of late into the synthwave genre as a listener. That I'm a metal guy to start with from the beginning, but I've always had this I've been drawn to other non-mainstream kinds of music, and specifically electronic music. So I just decided to start to see what I could do with the synthwave genre, and from there it became pretty obvious that I wanted to do something with a story. And the EP, I call it it's the official soundtrack of a sci-fi action movie that was never made in the 80s. A blockbuster that was never actually made. And that has a very strong, like you did in the 80s, it's a very strong, anti-corporate messages in it. And then I made a single that I made a 3D video for in Blender, which basically has a spaceship or a drone flying through a city, and I started thinking, what there's not that much of a story there, but it's doing something. What's the drone doing? And then finally I settled on it's looking for content creation slaves. So basically forced influencers that it's going to rescue. Which is kind of a dystopian future, but it's also a reality in some places in the world, where you basically go into indenture, having to produce a number of TikTok videos every day to not break your contract, etc.
Yeah.
And now the album project is more of a young adult military sci-fi, but it also has a very strong anti-military, anti-corporate vibe to it. So I think that Osiris Dreams is turning out to be. I also played a lot of Cyberpunk 2077 recently, so I think Osiris Dreams is turning out to be an anti-corpo something.
But it feels like if the EP and the album have two different stories, then it's more like a collection of stories rather than one continuous plot, is it?
Yes. But it's still it's a collection of stories. It's a collection of values. I think it might become, a story, a continued story. But I don't think these two will be part of it. But maybe the next one will be the start of a continued story that I will keep going.
Yeah, you could have one storyline that covers 3 albums or something.
Yeah, but I think I work in tech. My 9 to 5 is being a solution architect and a developer, and I feel that so much of I used to be so techno-positive in my life. And that's just gone, I don't know, it's gone sour in the last few years. I think that techno-feudalism in our actual, real world now, where so much power and so much wealth has been concentrated to a few companies that obviously has awful leadership and awful values, has turned my constant techno-positivism into something else. I still think I'm very, very positive about and excited about new technology, but I think we need to do something about this degeneration and late capitalism subscription economy that everything turns into, and that turns every new invention into crap. So I think that's affected also the Osiris dreams, like values and overall story or goals a lot.
Do you are you someone that has pretty strong opinions on AI and stuff? Then would you say?
I do.
Yeah.
I think that's been influenced a lot by being around artists. Being on threads, it feels like old school internet discussion forums more than it feels like a regular social media. And I'm sure you've seen this too, but there's not a creating artist almost in the world that doesn't hate generative AI with a passion. And in my work, I feel that I'm very skeptical using it as a developer. I can see, things that others produce. There's a great help in the beginning, and the less experienced you are, the more help you can have from using AI in your work as a developer. But there's a break-off point that's quite sharp, where it doesn't help you anymore, and that when it actually costs you more time.
Yeah.
And I think a number of papers from Google, etc., have actually shown that at a certain experience level, AI is going to not help you. It's going to be diminishing your efficiency.
I think it gets it wrong so often, doesn't it? That you spend more time telling it no and telling it to go back and do it again, and then you might as well have just done it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's also that's a more rewarding way of working, just doing it the right way yourself and having to coerce it into doing it the right way,
Yeah, I can tell you're a techie guy though, because you told me that you use Blender, and that's a really hard software to get your head around.
Oh yeah, I think that's one of my problems. I'm spreading myself a bit thin. I want to do 3D art. I want to do music. I want apparently to be a writer as well, since I did this long short story thing for the album, etc. So I don't really focus maybe enough on one art form.
Yeah, although I think that's kind of the way a lot of artists are going, isn't it? Because it's so hard to make something of yourself just with music. You have to have lots of fingers and lots of different pies.
Yeah, it helps. It helps that you can make your own music video, even though it takes time. It helps that I can just code my own website, etc. Of course, I have an old house. I have 3 kids. I have 3 dogs. I own a company. So yeah, it's sometimes I'm amazed I actually produce anything at all.
So did you actually write it all out as a story then?
Yes. So each of the song corresponds to a chapter. So I would say it's a short story kind of length of it. It's about 2 pages each chapter, because I wanted them to fit into a lyrics video.
Yeah.
If I did more text than that, it became too hard to read. The scrolling speed was too fast.
So all of these are available for people to watch, in your videos?
Yes, they are. So far, I've only released the first single, but the next one is coming in 2 weeks, and then the full album is coming first or second week of January, and then all of the 10 chapters will be available on YouTube.
So are you doing a music video for every single track?
For this one, I'm only doing the lyric video, so it's just the album cover in the background, and then it's text scrolling for each chapter.
Okay.
For the EP, I did actual music videos for each of the 4 songs, and I'm super happy with the way it came out. But I just realized that if I'm going to do that, this album will never, ever come out.
Tell me about the song that you've got out at the moment, the one that we're going to play on the show.
Yeah, so this song is the first one off of the album. The album is called Ultraverse, and this first song is called Age of Anomalies. It introduces kind of the world where we're at. Like I said, it's a military sci-fi. It has a bit of a young adult feel to it. I think that's my guilty conscience. I'm 51 years old, so I'm probably not in the target group. But hey, you're never older than 17 on the inside, anyway.
Right.
So we're introduced to the main character who's just finished the academy for something called the Ghost Operators. Earth has been attacked from somewhere. We don't really know. Some kind of a physical anomaly is has been destroying the cities of Earth for the last 19 years, and the only way to combat this is to send remote-controlled androids into the dimension that these anomalies are coming from. So we're fighting a war in another dimension by powering androids using VR. But as the story progresses, maybe not so much in the first chapter, but more and more into the chapters, the main character comes to realize that everything is not really what they told her it is. So there's a big lie somewhere here that's starting to unfold.
That was Age of Anomalies by Osiris Dreams. And we're going to have the second part of that interview coming up later in the show. Right now, though, we're going to hear a track by an artist called Haunted Shoes. This is a one-person project based out of Los Angeles, and after a few singles, they've just released their debut EP. And this is what their press release bio has to say about them. Haunted Shoes lives in the space between memory and maybe. Music for the ghosts in our footsteps. Songs shaped by missteps, unresolved questions, and the ache of what's almost worked. Alt-rock indie with shoegaze, softened at the edges. Guitars shimmer and drift. A steady mid-tempo pulse. Intimate, questioning lyrics. No spotlight, no spectacle, just worn-out leather, a cracked amp, and something left unsaid. All over the place, walking the margins, moving towards something in the distance. Their debut EP is called Penumbra, and it's out now. The track we're going to listen to is called Blackout. Haunted Shoes describe it as the impact point. The night everything goes white hot and then explodes. You're just left to try piecing yourself together in the aftermath. Sonically, it leans heavier, more into alt-rock territory than most of the tracks on the Penumbra EP, tense verses, big guitars, and that feeling of the floor dropping out. Let's check it out.
I wanna go dark, I need to black out. I wanna forget what this is about. I wanna see you in silhouette. I wanna see the you that I forget, but I can't unsee what's in your face. I want the blackout to erase. I wanna go dark, I need to black out. I wanna forget what this is about. I want the haze that blackout brings when I write a phrase that I can't sing. I wanna wreck it for you, want you to wreck it for me. Then I want to black out so I can see each other that you and I have done. The wreckage we made when we were unmaking love, unmaking love, unmaking love. I won't be checking back in with you on this. I won't say whether I miss your size, your smile, your thighs, your guile. I won't be thinking of you while I'm in blackout. I wanna wreck it for you, want you to wreck it for me. Then I want to black out so I can't see each other that you and I have done. The wreckage we made when we were unmaking love, unmaking love, unmaking love. You don't have to believe me when I say this isn't a song I wanted to play, or that I didn't plan things this way. Sometimes life has more things in store than you're really ready for, and some connections leave you more alone than you were before. I wanna wreck it for you, want you to wreck it for me. Then I want to black out so black out. I want to forget what this is about. I need to black out. I want to forget what this is about.
That was Blackout by Haunted Shoes. You can hear more of their music on all your usual streaming platforms, and you can follow them on Instagram at haunted_shoes.music. Next up, we have a band called Souls Remain. These guys are from Champaign in Illinois. Wow, that is a cool place name. Probably not as cool as it sounds, but, you know, Champaign sounds very posh and fancy, doesn't it? The band bends the metal genre by blending hardcore, metalcore, deathcore, and everything in between together in a unique way. The project was started in 2023 by a chap named Will Ledger. Originally it was named A Soul Remains, but the name was changed to Souls Remain, as he figured it sounded better, and it really fit the band. The name is about those who are lost in what they believe and feel like they have nowhere to turn, hence the name Souls Remain. Ledger produces and engineers everything, and he's also the vocalist of the band, offering some powerful, in-your-face vocals. The band just released their EP, The Rage Within, in July of this year, and they've got new music currently in production, but no official release dates as of yet. They've also got a brand new single out at the moment called Mortem, but we're going to be listening to a track off their debut EP. It's called Dogma. Let's check it out. That was Dogma by Souls Remain. You can listen to their stuff on all your usual streaming platforms as well as Bandcamp, and you can find them on Instagram under souls.remain.band. Thanks for being on the show, guys. Coming up now, we've got the second part of our interview with Osiris Dreams, and one more track from them. So let's get into that. When you start writing this, do you already know like what the ending's going to be, or do you kind of like figure it out as you're writing?
No, I'm a fan of structure. I think it's super hard to go in the right direction if I don't know where I'm going. So I always, whenever I write something, I always have, the main parts of the plot are already there, and then things develop along as I write, but I always know where it starts and where it ends.
And then each song is related to a different section of the story.
Yes. I feel that's helping me with some things that could be difficult otherwise. Naming songs is so much easier when they are a part of a story where you know what's happening. Also, it helps me with inspiration for different moods, for different songs. I know this is an exciting part of the story. This is a battle inside the Altarverse. Then it should probably be up-tempo and a little bit like harder since the patches. This is a sad story. Then it should be down-tempo and have some more kind of moody paths, etc. So that also helps me with the music because I'm doing that in parallel. So the songs weren't done. They've been developing along with the written story.
Right. So you started with the story, and then you knew, right, I'm working on track 6 today, and I know that it's about this. So that gives you something to build on.
Yes. And then maybe chapter 6 wasn't really finished, but I knew what was going to happen in it. I wrote the song, and then I could finish the text to even better suit with the music. So it's like a parallel process.
Do you think that's something you'll continue in the future? Like, does that way of working help you?
It does. It really does. The only problem with it is that it's so much harder to do when you're doing singles. So the problem is that now that I decided to do an album, I haven't released anything since February. So it took from February to the 24th of November with no material being released, and that's a bit of a problem when you look at how the music industry works now. And now I could do the 4 to 6 weeks between each single for 10 times over until the album is released, but I don't really want to do that because I don't think listeners are going to be happy waiting for the end of the story until next year. As a listener, I don't appreciate this 4 to 6 weeks a new single. I want albums. There's nothing better than when you discover an artist that has 4 albums and has a back catalog and you can just dive into it. That's the greatest. I think this is also hard. The conflict between giving the market what it wants and your artistic integrity. I still want to do albums because that's what I want to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to listen to, and just hoping that somebody else wants to as well. And I try to be also critical of my own work, but I think that at the end of the day, you don't really learn until you release something either. So that's another thing I know every musician struggles with. It's just deciding when you're done. You could always make adjustments and changes to a song forever. Sometimes it could keep making the song a little bit better. Sometimes it makes it worse. But at the end of the day, you really need to let go of it sooner or later.
Yeah, I think a lot of musicians, especially in that early stage, they do procrastinate a lot, and then that's holding them back because sometimes you just need to get it out there, don't you?
Yeah. I think not having a lot of time for it kind of helps me there because I know I won't be able to spend, enormous amounts of time anyway. So I need to be focused, and then I need to just decide that this is good enough for this release.
Have you found it a challenge running social media accounts and things like that? Because obviously that's something new that people have got to do these days if you're a musician.
Yes, I have. I think I do have it in me. I've had a blog, like a music production blog, for years and years and years. I've always been doing social media. So that part is, it hasn't been like a completely new world, but I think the amount of effort that you have to pour into it, that's hard. I feel that I decided to start posting on TikTok every day, which I've done now for months, and of course my views skyrocketed, so it's been good, but it's also, it takes a lot out of you. It kind of leads a bit to burnout, and it takes, I think the biggest problem with it is that it takes time away from the actual creative work that you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think I found a pretty good way of doing something that I feel is in line with the artist identity, and still doesn't require so much effort. I used to do these elaborate videos with effects and stuff that I did in DaVinci Resolve. And that was nice, but that takes even more time. That becomes a project in itself. So I started just going on these sites with free videos, like pexels.com, and I would just try to come up with an idea for a situation, and then download a cool video clip and then put text on it and one of my songs. So that's what I've been doing for the last month on TikTok and Instagram. So that works pretty well. But even that's work too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I love hearing about people's different tactics, because there's so many different ways of doing social media content, isn't there? And there's really no right or wrong way. It's just whatever you find works for you.
Yeah. I do struggle a bit with the idea of putting myself on camera every day. I do it for my music production tutorials on YouTube. Those are mainly geared towards metal and guitar playing. So that's fine. It's not like I'm afraid to show my face or talk to the camera, but doing that every day, I think that just feels like a super high threshold for me to cross. So I'm still doing it. Most of it isn't content from my studio or me in it. It's just clips. So that's fine, but maybe I would get, higher engagement, blah, 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 if I put myself in it more.
If you don't feel like doing it, then it's not going to feel authentic when you do it.
No. Maybe that's the best summary of it. That I feel I feel I could probably do it, but I think I would have to practice it a lot before it became authentic, and I don't really feel I can put that amount of time into it.
Yeah. You've got better things to do with your time.
Yeah.
So what's the plan next then? What's the plan moving forward? Obviously, get the album out.
Well, I haven't decided yet. I think it's going to be a time of there's going to be a pause of some sort. I think I really need that now for a while, just doing non-productive things with the little spare time I have. Bit of gaming maybe, or maybe a little bit of Blender stuff that's not, that doesn't have a production deadline, that's not supposed to be a music video, just for fun or to get better at that. But I'm sure I think that the next one is going to be an EP. I think EP was the best format for me. I think 4 songs is a good crossover between the time it takes but still producing something that's almost like an album or a coherent thing that could have a story. I think an album it's not going to be a new album immediately after this one. I'm pretty sure of that. And then I feel a bit like doing some metal stuff again, perhaps.
Would you start a whole different project for that, with a different name?
It is a different name, but it's super small. So it's called Osiris Awakens. I talk sometimes about the Osiris Media Group, which has Osiris Guitar, which is the tutorials channel, and the blog it's Osiris Awakens, which is the metal band, and then it's Osiris Dreams. That is the one that we're currently talking about, the synthwave artist.
There you go. So you are a brand.
Yes, I'm a group.
I do normally play like 2 songs from an artist if they've been interviewed. So do you have another song that you want to play?
Yes, I do. The last single I did before the album, it's called Dark City, and that's the one where the drone is flying through the city.
Okay. Does that have so that has the music video to it then?
Yes, because one of the reasons I kept going was that my second single was randomly picked up on YouTube on a big synthwave playlist. And one day I just logged on to DistroKid and I saw that I had $200 of royalties.
That's crazy.
That is crazy, and I had no idea where it came from. And then finally I found it on YouTube that my second single got 135,000 plays just by being placed on a playlist. And I've been struggling to replicate that. None of my other songs are even near that.
And where's the best place like for people to like check out your stuff or follow you or things like that? Where do you want them to go to?
Yeah, this is another problem, I think. What do you promote?
Yeah.
What's your main channel? I would have hoped that YouTube would have been my most successful channel since I actually put a lot of effort into the visuals. You can go to osirisstreams.com, from where you can get all of it. There are links to all of my channels. I put an on-site player, so you can even play the songs on the site. But I think YouTube is my philosophical home. I think that's where I wanted and still want this project to be most successful because it has all of the visuals that I actually also put a lot of work into, not only the music.
Thanks for hanging out and chatting.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you to Osiris Dreams for being on the show. That was Dark City, which has an awesome video on YouTube that you should go and check out. And if you head to osirisdreams.com, you can find all the relevant links to support the artist and find out more. It's spelled Osiris, osirisdreams.com. It's time for
The Outcast Anthem.
We are coming up to the end of the show, folks, but we have one more song left to play you, and it's the one I've chosen for this week's Outcast Anthem. The reason being, it's just anthemic as hell. It's got really awesome song structure, some great melody, and some cool lyrics. It's by a band called Absent Light Arena, who might just become your new favourite band once you hear this track. They've got one release currently out, and that's their debut full-length, which is called Fear, Doubt and Disbelief. There's 12 tracks on that record, and a lot of them have a lot of different vibes, styles, and different sounds to them, but it all sorts of, it comes under the alternative, alt-metal, metalcore kind of genre. But there's a lot of cool stuff on there. A little bit of history about the band before we play you the track. It's actually a two-person project, Aaron and Jason, and it's currently operating long distance, with one member living in Australia and the other in Sweden. This is what Aaron told us. Jason and I grew up in Australia together. We had little band projects as young lads do in their early 20s. However, I got a serious job and the rest of the band wanted to move in a heavier direction. So at the time, Jason and the band went on to do Avira Skies, which is another band, while I focused on my career and started a young family. We stayed in touch and always talked about doing a project together, while Jason stayed in the music industry, formalising his knowledge by undertaking audio engineering training. Life takes you in funny places, and Jason met a lady who was from Sweden. She stole his heart and he trotted off over there. Eventually, we motivated each other enough to get moving on the project, as we're both knocking on the door of 40 and didn't want the opportunity to pass us by. Jason, with all his talent, writes the music and sends it to me to put down vocals to. I write and record the vocals, and then send him the raw takes to mix into the songs. So it's sometimes a bit of a challenge, and it took us a while to work out some of the kinks, but we got pretty efficient at it. I like to think Jason will come back to Australia one day, and we might actually get the opportunity to gig together. But alas, the call of Sweden remains strong. I do love a band with an interesting story, so that's cool. Thanks for sending that in. It just so happens that Absent Light Arena have some really awesome music to back it up too. So let's check out one of their songs, and it's my favourite off the album. This is Fatal Service.
I've come to show how well they know the you slug. You've got to find out how much real appears in that way. 'Cause my growth don't deconstruct the truth that they betray. You've got to live to all that's real. See the face of those that were too young to die. Where's the justice seen of it? All the lies awaken, here's their cries. Correct and serve yourself for what you've done.
That was Fatal Service by Absent Light Arena, and that was this week's Outcast Anthem, because I just really love that track. I think it's awesome. Please go and check out their full-length debut, which is out now. It's called Fear, Doubt and Disbelief, and you can find it on Spotify and all of your major streaming platforms. But the band told me they're really trying to big up their Spotify at the moment. They're trying to get as many sort of followers on it as possible, as many streams. So Spotify is such a hard market to crack, man. It's like, it's really one of the toughest to do as an upcoming artist. You have to get like millions and millions of streams to even earn like $1 or whatever, you know. It's ridiculous, but there are obviously benefits to it. So please go and follow them on Spotify and please stream their stuff. You can also follow them on Instagram, where you can find them under just Absent Light Arena, all one word. So thank you so much for being part of the show, guys, and thanks to all the artists who have been on this week. Thanks especially to Osiris Dreams for jumping on that call with me and doing a bit of an interview. It was pretty fascinating to hear about your backstories and the lore and how you're building things up for yourselves as an artist. Once again, if anyone wants to be on the show, please do get in touch. You can drop me a message on Instagram at Master of Mischief Official, or you can just email me Outcast Frequency at sonicscoutradio.com. I'm always looking for new artists to be on the show, and always looking for artists within particular segments. So we have the Lore Lockdown, Chaos Corner, and of course the Outcast Anthem is my pick of the week. So please get your submissions in and get your song played on the radio. Thank you so much for everyone for listening in this week, and I'll see you all soon. You've been listening to the Master of Mischief on the Outcast Frequency, broadcasting on Sonic Scout Radio worldwide. Thanks for listening, and see you all on the next show.